Comic-Con 2020 at home. Today we're going to talk about transforming together time, family gaming, and the future of play. Video games have been an influential part of culture, creativity, connection for decades. From numerous console wars to memorable mobile gaming moments, gamifying the world in augmented reality, or jumping into immersive worlds with VR, voice, and beyond. The global gaming market is booming and the family gaming market is getting even bigger. So today, join myself, Valerie Vacante. I'm with LiveArea and Collabsco, along with Tommy Palm with Resolution Games and Tommy Tallarico. So guys, do you want to kind of have a quick introduction and share with everybody what you're up to and what you're working on?
Sure. Hi, this is Tommy Palm. I'm calling in from Sweden. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Resolution Games, VR video game developer in Stockholm, Sweden. And we've been around for about 5 years and developing about 10 titles for primarily virtual reality.
Great. And
yeah, I'm Tommy Tallarico. I've been in the game industry for about 32 years. I own the Guinness Book of World's Record for the person who works on the most video games in their lifetime. My mother's very proud. And I've been involved everything, some of the titles that you may know, everything from the early Madden football games, Earthworm Jim, Disney's Aladdin, the original Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Guitar Hero, Metroid Prime. I was the first American hired on the Sonic the Hedgehog team. And yeah, after that, I was on a produced and co-hosted a television show for 12 years about video games, Electric Playground, which started in the mid-90s. And then in 2002, I created the worldwide touring sensation Video Games Live, which has been touring around the world now for 19 years and breaking Guinness World Records as well for traveling symphony shows. And 3 years ago, I took over as CEO of Intellivision, and we're creating a brand new family-based home console system called Amico.
Great, thank you guys for joining. And for a little bit of context about myself, as I mentioned, I'm with LiveArea, where I'm the director of strategy of a global commerce organization. A lot of what I do is uncover cultural trends, kind of what's new and next, what's happening with emerging tech, and creating just all kinds of new innovations. Outside of that, I'm the founder of Collabsco, where a lot of my work is really about strategy, innovation, connected play, everything from connected fitness and gaming to handheld gaming to board games, voice, you name it. If it's emerging tech, connected play, or gaming, I'm probably making it, have made it, or in the process of creating it. So I'm honored to be here with these two sort of titans of the industry, both Tommy Palm and Tommy Tallarico. So thanks again, guys, for joining.
Double Tommy.
Yeah, I know. I feel left out. I need to change my name. So cool. I'm sure, you know, we've all kind of seen this big number here. You know, we know the industry's obviously growing, you know, 196 billion, you know, in just less than 2 years' time ahead. And then, you know, I wanted to take a moment. I know, you know, you guys are obviously, you know, innovators in your space, and really just to let the audience here see how insane this industry is growing and everything you guys are working on. Tommy Tallarico, I know this 3 billion gamers numbers, a number you talk about a lot. Do you want to share anything with the group here?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting when people think of the video game industry, a lot of times they're thinking of either like the home game consoles like Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, or, you know, the PC gamers, the big games, your World of Warcrafts, League of Legends, Dotas, and things like that. But the reality is that over the last, say, 8 years, mobile, which let's put those in a grouping and say, call those hyper casual games for the most part, the majority being hyper casual, again, for maybe people who don't consider themselves to be a gamer or non-gamer, as you would say. The reality is that dominates the entire industry, right? So it is completely taken over. It gains about 2% every year on those other two categories, PC and home consoles. So, and almost tripling PC games in regards to, the money that brings in. But when you talk about the sheer numbers of people playing, yeah, there's about 200 million hardcore gamers in the world. That's if you include PlayStation, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, Switch, and say the PC, hardcore PC gamers. It's about 200 million people, which is amazing. But as you mentioned, right now there's about 2.5 billion people playing mobile, and another, a few hundred million playing casual games just on their PC, things like solitaire and things like that. So that's one thing that people are always, kind of greatly surprised to see how the industry has changed over the last decade, where hyper casual, or let's just say games for everybody, not just hardcore gamers, but games that anyone can play no matter what your skill level, those have absolutely taken over and dominate in every single category. And a lot of people don't realize that, so it is interesting to see how, and I think that's kind of the focus of what I'm doing, and what Tommy has been so successful at as well, is kind of seeing those trends and making gaming for everybody.
I think that's a really good point, and I just want to tack on and say that I think one of the big difference between kind of the hardcore game market with consoles and PCs is that a lot of times those players invested some serious money in being able to play games, whereas the mobile players and the casual PC gamers, they bought their device for something else, for using it to multiple of different purposes, and then they discovered game alongside of that. And in these growth figures that we're seeing for the future, I definitely see a lot of multi-purpose devices being used to really grow these numbers, and eventually I definitely think everybody is going to be a gamer of some sort.
Yeah, I completely agree, and so we're going to actually jump into some of the items that you guys have been working on in just a moment here. But to kind of round out the numbers and the stats here, some of these I thought were really interesting. Obviously with the coronavirus outbreak, game usage has gone up 75%, which is just amazing that people are kind of staying home, gathering, their families in the home together and finding new ways to game. Really exciting there. That 96% number at the top, you guys, of families. Yes, we love that. I think all of us here today love this, that 96% of families playing games feel closer together. And then Tommy Palm, from your perspective, 92 billion, the virtual reality gaming market, by 2027. So amazing there. And then 5.44 billion interactive fitness market growth by 2024. Just kind of personally, I'm working in this space of connecting mobile gaming and fitness. So that number is really exciting to me, playing in that space. And then, kind of rounding it out, that 284 billion for AR, the AR gaming market. And I know, Tommy T, you guys have done some experimenting with augmented reality and Amico before launch. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, here's kind of a montage of everybody's work at the moment here. Tommy Palm, I would love to hear your perspective on kind of at your roots. We talked about Candy Crush and obviously the huge success with casual mobile gaming and really getting everybody playing. and kind of your roots. And then now with resolution, having that family friendly play. Can you share with us a little bit about your philosophy with family gaming and getting everybody playing and kind of what you're working on?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been a very passionate gamer myself for more than 30 years now. And I started programming for the Commodore 64 back in the mid 80s together with some friends. And I always found multiplayer games to be a real shortcut to having way more fun. I love single player games as well, but as a programmer, I prefer like a quick way of solving things, because multiplayer gaming is also technically more complex. So that's something I've always been very passionate about. I kind of slipped in my career on mobile games, and I started with that back in the late 90s. So kind of way too early, before it was really possible to make much money out of that market. Didn't really happen until Google and well, first most Apple, of course, with the App Store. They are what enabled game developers for mobile phones to get paid for their work, and then that opened up a fantastic market eventually. I sold my last company, Fabrication Games, to King, and together the first game we worked on there was Candy Crush Saga, that you all know turned out fantastic. And it was a really, really fun project to work on, and definitely one of those where kind of my dream to open up the target audience for who plays games really worked fantastically. That game has reached hundreds of millions of players by now, and it was really fun to work on. I worked there for 3 years, and since then I've been working on VR. And what looks to be on the middle row here is 3 of the titles that we've been involved in as Resolution Games, and the middle one is something that's very dear to heart. It's a game called Acron, where one of the players is in virtual reality, and the other players download a free client to their mobile phone and can join in on the other side. So it's a symmetrical game where you're playing kind of 2 different games, but in the same world. So the VR player is a tree and has to protect their acorns, while the squirrels are trying to steal them. And we're getting a ton of videos of families at home having so much fun with this. Even people who don't traditionally play games, it's very easy to join on the mobile side, and then you kind of learn the game, and then you want to try it out on the VR side.
Well, and Tommy, you just described my kind of front room, gaming room this past weekend. That's exactly what my family did. All 3 of us. Yeah, we were taking turns on the quest. So we were all taking turns being the tree and kind of, throwing after the squirrels and being the squirrels and kind of experimenting with the different characters. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It has been the first time I can say that I've played where as a family, we could kind of have that couch co-op style play with VR. So nice.
Yeah, I think
that's fantastic.
There is a ton of potential there in these type of games, as very powerful devices is becoming more and more common in people's hands. I think that we're going to see some fantastic development of things that you can play between generations. I think that's so encouraging, because as your numbers said, I definitely think that families that play together feel closer together.
Well, I agree, and Tommy Tallarico, that kind of like feeds nicely into sort of your philosophy with Amico. Can you tell us about how you're kind of encouraging everybody from kind of small kids to grandma to game?
Yeah, it's interesting when me and Tommy were growing up. I think we're probably around the same age. We didn't have the internet to play video games on, and our AI back then was like our friends. We had the greatest AI in the world growing up. Actual other people, and so. When I think of video games growing up, there's so many amazing. It's about the experience. I don't remember the games as much as I do the people, and the experience we were have playing. I remember the games as well, but the things that burn into my mind are playing in television skiing with my mom, playing baseball on in television with my dad, playing biplanes with my brother Mike, and so and having friends come over, and again, because it was so accessible, it was, and the games were a lot easier to understand and get into. And you think of the arcade games, Pac-Man, up down left right, you're done. Frogger, up down left right, you're done. What do you have to do? Get to the other side. Gotcha, go. And so that's kind of what we want to bring back, is that we feel that a lot of the home console games, the home consoles that are out there now, and even, like I said, some of the major PC games are very, very complicated. They're amazing. The graphics, I mean, the level of realism, absolutely phenomenal. I love that the industry has, from when I got in, when we were still working on 8-bit machines and 8-bit sounds and everything, to where it is now, it's unbelievable. That being said, it also, thankfully for mobile, helping to save this, but it's also alienated a lot of people, the home gaming market. And so what is casual on home consoles to a non-gamer isn't casual at all to them, right? And so that's kind of where we really want to kind of explore that. We saw the Nintendo Wii as an example. That came out 14 years ago, was the third biggest selling home console at the time, did 102 million units sold. And with that, like my mom bought a Wii, right? Because it was easy. She could do this and she could go, and she was bowling, right? That was it. No complicated stuff. It was just doing that. And so that's kind of where we look at, it's interesting. The older I think people get, and I'll use myself as an example, is that, I sit down and, I have the new whatever game. I don't want to name names, but I'll take it out of the shrink wrap. I'll put it in my system, and now I have to wait for a 20-minute update. Okay, we got to update the firmware, this and that. And now it takes another half hour to to load the discs in on the, okay. So now it's an hour later, I'm starting to play. And again, a lot of these single player experiences, or multiplayer, which basically means online, somebody in a dark room with their headphones on, that's multiplayer these days, right? And so you start to play these games, and I feel like I start to feel guilty, because you're playing like 5-6 hours, and the wife's downstairs and she wants to go to lunch, and the dog wants to go for a walk, and the kids want you to play. And it's like the weekend, the only time, the older we get, the less, time that we have to, spend 8 hours on playing a video game, right? Like we did in our teens and 20s, or when we were kids. And so that's, to me, a lot of these big AAA games, which again, I love. I hope I'm not feeling like I'm disparaging them in any way. We're not at all. I appreciate them all. But what the issue is that you feel this guilt. But within television and what we're doing, when you play games together, what I'm doing, what Tommy's doing, is that you're not selling guilt, you're selling time together with family and friends. And that's very important. That's a very different mindset, right? And so that's really our whole idea, is that when people are together playing games together, it's a much different experience. And it's not about the best graphics and how many teraflops your system has or any of that stuff. It's just, you know, games were created to have fun, and bring it back to that basic of having fun together, no matter what your skill level. You know, no matter what your skill level. A lot of these games, it takes hours just to get you to a level where you can play with others who, by the way, are going to cream the heck out of you for the next 3 weeks. And it's not fun for you, not fun for them. So, you know, that whole idea of bringing people together, and that's probably, I'd be curious to know what Tommy thinks. Like, one of our challenges is making sure to create a game that's challenging to the hardcore gamer, but that grandma can also play and grandma can win, right? So we don't want the hardcore gamer to have like a big unfair advantage. You know, you take a game like Fortnite, which is amazing, right? But you take a hardcore gamer and grandma, and every single time, you know, the non-gaming grandparent is going to get obliterated by the hardcore gamer, right? So that's like the opposite ends of the spectrum, and we're trying to balance that. And again, that's kind of, we spend a lot of time on that balance. I'm curious, Tommy, do you as well?
Yeah, I think you're making some really great points. I definitely think that, like, the industry, as you say, we tend to make games for people who are already converted to this and love games and played other games that work similar ways, so we don't have to learn that much in order to get into the game. Whereas, you know, you have a lot of older people who are maybe lonely and want to interact with their grandchildren, but it would be impossible for them to take on something like Fortnite or the popular games. So I think personally, a lot of it is in the interaction. Is my feeling as a game designer. Like, how easy is it to do something that you feel like you're accomplishing something in the game, and one great way of achieving that is to have different roles, where grandma could be a support role and carry ammunition, or in Fortnite. Maybe that's not the best game example, but you know, we've definitely, as a studio, tried to work a lot on things that is less violent. For instance, yeah. Here in the kind of show reel here, you see Cookout, which is a food making games. You make games you make sandwiches for customers coming along, and it's a very familiar theme. But again, you know, the people on VR right now is a rather hardcore audience. So there's hours and hours of gameplay there. Whereas with the other game, Blaston, that is a shooter that you can also see on the screen, we spend a lot of time making sure that it takes you seconds to understand what to do. Guns pop up, you grab them, and you shoot, and you try to defeat your opponent. Still not a game for grandma, but definitely we spent a lot of time working on that it'd be very easy to get into it, at the same time as having complexity and something you can spend a long time developing, like a skill set that makes you feel that you're growing within the game.
Well, and Blaston, I am really excited about that because my son and I, we go to laser tag. Well, prior to COVID-19, we were at laser tag in arcades almost every weekend, and so I am like counting down for you guys to get Blaston out, because it has that similar vibe to it. So yeah, I'm kind of anxiously awaiting that one. And there's
definitely. Can I just add something? Like, one of the great things with that game is that it's kind of combining a game and a sport. So similar to like the Wii Tennis, you actually have to move physically, and if you're really competing with somebody who's your own skill level, you're going to need endurance, which I think is a great thing, especially these days. Now we're home and not moving around as much as we used to.
Well, and that's actually a really great point to kind of jump in on that sort of exergaming, right? Or interactive fitness gaming. we're seeing a lot of it in VR, obviously with the, with Beat Saber, as a game that people could kind of jump into and sort of get moving around and that type of thing. So I'm excited to hear that you're kind of incorporating a little bit of that physical movement with Blast On. So I'm excited about that. I did want to point out, actually, in the kind of 2 of the games that I'm working on at the moment, the tenets that you guys were talking about, like making it really simple, getting families gathered around. So the one at the bottom there is called Countdown, and we're actually launching on Kickstarter by the end of the month, the first Kickstarter. And what Countdown is, think of it as like those sort of handheld games from the 80s. I'm not sure if you guys sort of carry this in your backpack. Yeah, so it's very much like that handheld game. But there's going to be 12 games at launch with the ability to download more games to the device. And really where we've taken it is high-tech hide and seek. So if you want to go, there's a mode where you can go play hide and seek in the back garden and sort of get everybody, if you want to get active, get in the back garden, get moving around. It's not just finding the device, but there's a puzzle you have to solve, various puzzles when you find it. But not only that, to kind of the point that Tommy Palm, you mentioned earlier about kind of having other modes for the grandparents to play in, we've created sort of a tabletop co-op play. So there's different games where the whole idea is like being either around the back garden or around the backyard and having that game, whether it be, from toddler to 10-year-old to mom to dad to grandma, that's super simple that we can get around and play. So yeah, would love for you guys to check it out when it's available. And then the other point from a fitness standpoint, another game that we're working on is Avatar at the bottom there. So very much, inspired by puzzle play. Tommy from Candy Crush like puzzle play meets fitness tracker. So the whole idea is really encouraging kids and families to have their dashboard, to play the game. And actually, if you don't move around enough, you can't get to the next level. So it's all about like, you have to get your steps in, you have to get your running in, and then you can kind of power up your play. So yeah, very excited about that. We've tested it in schools in the UK, not in the US yet, but baby steps. So, we're excited about those kind of gameplays.
Yeah, I love that idea. I wrote an article for Time Magazine about how I really think that the world needs sports or things that helps young people to move more, that still has this video games is so, you get it instantly, you get a lot of rewards. When sports is on the opposite side of the spectrum, it's really hard in the beginning, right? You're not good as you start, and I think that's something that a lot of people really appreciate with games like Pokemon Go. It actually brings you out and walking about. Yeah,
that was one of the things that was really important to us as well. When creating here's one of the controllers here. But you can see it, lit up. We have all the lights. Again, to keep it easy, Grandma, hit the R3 button. And she's like, what's the R3 button? But, in this instance, Grandma, hit the blue button or whatever, so you can color code things to make it easy. But the motion controls were something that was important as well. So there's a gyroscope and an accelerometer in here as well. So, games like horseshoes and shuffleboard and bowling, kind of the recreational sports games, you have it where, you put the lanyard on and you can use it, use it like this as well. And we're also doing that with our edutainment line of games as well. We signed some of the biggest kids licenses in the world. And so, because when you look at edutainment, it's all moved over to mobile now. Well, one of the interesting statistics for young families, one of the things that parents feel the most guilty about is giving their kids too much alone screen time, right? That's a number one concern that young parents have. And so what we're doing is bringing edutainment back into the living room adding in motion controls when we can, and adding in that couch co-op. So mom and dad could play with the young child, or the younger brother and sister, or a group of friends can come over and play together. Not you're waiting, or it's just one app and you're learning your ABCs or whatever. You know, why not get the group, you know, a group in person involved and get people, you know, active as well. So again, it's something that you would think would be everywhere, but in actuality, it's not, you know, and edutainment is so important to the whole fabric of our culture, right? And so, yeah, we're really 20% of our entire platform is dedicated just to edutainment for kids, but with adults being able to join in as well too if they want.
Well, I love that too. You know, I think it's all about fun first. And so if you can get the kids and families really engaged in just fun,
yeah,
and the you know, education part is incorporated in it with sort of characters they know and love, then that's an awesome mix, right? Let's see here. So I know we're getting close to time. Would love to just kind of have a quick chat about where you guys see things going. You know, I know Tommy Palm, you've got a number of games coming out soon. If you can share with everybody maybe what to expect there, on what you're working on, and then how you, of course, we all want to see what the future holds.
Yeah, so on our end, we announced a lot of games that is multiplayer right now, and I definitely think there is a lot of innovation of making multiplayer much more easier to get into, and you know, we saw this very cool trend, I think, back in the early 2000s with massive multiplayer games and persistent worlds. That was like a super hardcore games genre that kind of have stagnated, and it's not so popular anymore. But I definitely think that is going to come back, especially with things like virtual reality, where you can go in and experience a world. So I'm a big believer in multiplayer and persistent worlds, and that's where I think that there is still a lot of innovation happening. As other Tommy said, the graphics is fantastic, but the controls are basically the same as we had back in the 80s with rather crude input, you know, and in reality we use our voice and communicate in a way more advanced way.
Great, and I'm just like encouraging you, please make more of the games like Akron where multiple people can play. We love that, and we love that model of just sort of that shared play. So I hope to see more of those type of experiences from you guys. And then Tommy Tallarico, how about you? How are you?
Yeah, you know, we're putting a big bet on people want to play together, family, friends, entertainment. You know, that's where we see this kind of gaping hole in the home console market. And even, within, parts of the majority of mobile games as well. So, that's our thing is, and we also feel kind of a responsibility. Tommy touched on it a little bit, but, we don't allow mature rated games or even teen rated games on our system. Our 4 core pillars are simple, affordable, family, and entertainment. And those 4 things spell out the word safe. So, in this 21st century, you know, parents have so many things that they have to kind of monitor with, whether it's their children on the internet, or if they give them a mobile device, or what they can and can't watch on Netflix, or, you know, even Disney Plus has some, more adult content oriented, content on there. And so we wanted to just kind of take that out of, they don't have to worry about it here, right? We didn't need it when we were growing up in the games we played. And so that's, so we're taking a big bet that people want to play together. Now, every one of our games has a single player mode, yes, but every single one of our games also has a co-op or multiplayer or versus mode as well. Every single one of our games. So again, yeah, we're offering something that's very unique, a very simple control style that kind of combines the best of mobile, the touch screen, the best of home consoles with buttons and input, and even I'd say the best of VR in regards to being able to, to move it around, but keeping it, super simple. So I really do hope my vision for the future, where I think it is going to go, and again, I think both me and Tommy are betting big on this, is that more people, if the Nintendo Wii proved anything, it proved that people who don't play video games are open to playing them if they're presented in a fun, easy way, right? We see it now with mobile and how it's exploded, but can we take that even to the next level? And that's really, I think, where the focus is, being able to play, everyone being able to play video games, no matter what your skill level, and to get in and do it in a simple way. I think that's, I think that's where the industry really, really, you can say it's become mainstream already, but I think to take it to an absolute next level, I think that's where it needs to go.
Yeah, I'm really excited about all the work that that you guys are doing, and really creating that super simple, safe and fun gameplay across all the platforms that you're working on.
It seems like gaming is so segmented these days, right? Like you go into an average household, and the teenage boy is on maybe the Xbox, and the 12-year-old kid is on maybe Minecraft or getting into Fortnite, and the mom is playing Candy Crush, and the dad might be on PC playing Warcraft. It's become so segmented. And again, can we bring all those people together to enjoy one thing at the same time? And that's kind of the focus,
Well, and completely agree. And just to kind of build on that point, in our home, we certainly, we have an Xbox. We do play our mobile games. We actually play voice activated games like Saint Noir from Versix Games. We play that around the table together. Another one, actually, I had earlier on in the presentation called Hex Tracks. It's not out yet, but it's actually these hexagon cards, and you create your own sort of racetrack physically with the cards on the table, and then it's sort of an augmented mobile play, right? So like, I can make a track physically on the table together. You can make a track, Tommy Palm could make a track, and we could all sort of challenge each other, together, and really have that create mode. And so I'm excited about kind of, what Tommy Tallarico, what you're doing within television, and kind of mixing the best of mobile play, mixing the best of console play, and super safe and affordable. So we can't wait to get one here when it's ready.
And think about also, Val, think about like just board games and card games, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, a game like Monopoly or Scrabble or Aggravation or Chutes and Ladders or Candyland, these are games that are 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, right? They didn't need fancy graphics or fancy boards, or think of all the card games that people play, from gin rummy to Texas Hold'em, poker. blackjack, whatever it is, right? Simple games like War or Uno, all of these amazing things, they don't need fancy graphics, but it's bringing people together because it's simple. And those have been going, again, 50, 60, 70, 80 years. These games are going, and they're still fun, and people still gather to play them. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, thank you both for joining me for Comic-Con 2020 at home. Please, we invite everybody to please stay connected, reach out to us, and let's all game together.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.